Okay, we say this. We're up to Simon Kuf Samaches Siv Tes. Pas Gomu Afilu Pachas Mikazais. When you've got proper bread, even less than a kazais, Mevorach of Hamoitzi. So that's the important rule. That there's no minimum amounts. Even a very, very small amount, less than a kazais, you still have to make a bracha of hamoitzi. But when it comes to the bracha after eating, einem mevarech klum kol shaloch kazais. If you have a very small amount of bread, less than a kazais, which is pretty small, then you don't say berachas hamazon. Says in Mishnah Berurah Mem Zayin, pachas mikazais v'uadin afilu al koldu. Even if you have a few crumbs of bread, you need to make a bracha of hamoitzi. The asa lehonas min ha'olam. But hazeh beli bracha, because you can't get benefit from this world without a bracha. Klum, but the bracha afterwards, you don't say berachas hamazon unless there's a kazayis. Hainu lo berachas hamazon v'lo shum bracha achrona. Okay, good. Now, Sif Yud. Before we go into Sif Yud, let's do the Hakdama. There's a Hakdama in the Mishnah Berurah in Sif Katan Mem Tes to explain what is going on. Says the Mishnah Berurah in Sif Katan Mem Tes. Akdim lezeh hasif Hakdama k'tzara. I'm going to give you a little bit of an intro. There are three permutations, three possibilities here. Aleph, pas shapir leperun bishlei, where you've got bread and you crumbled it, you crushed the bread, you crumbled it, and bishlei, you cooked it. Tolu bezeh, it then depends. Im ha-perurin gedolim sheish ben kazayis. If the crumbs, the pieces, they've got a kazayis, then lonis battle mehem shem pas. You haven't taken away the name of pas, of bread. Afilu malidei habishul, even if you've cooked it. Also mehem Torah lechem, the appearance of bread has gone. V'mein bohem kazayis. If you haven't got a kazayis, afilu nira sheyesh aleim Torah lechem, even though they've got the appearance of bread, mevarech Brei minei mezonos. But then they would have the status of mazonos. To shame tafshil alehem, they're no longer considered bread, but rather some cooked item. That's one category. Base im loy bishle, you've got bread and you just crumble it, but you didn't cook it. Rak shepeira b'ka'arav and ischabra purin yachad aladei dvash and marok. You sort of crumble the bread and you join it together through honey or through putting it in soup or things like that. Im yesh adayin aleim te'alechem. If it still looks like bread, mevarich aleihem hamoitzi. You make the bracha of hamoitzi. Afilim ein haperurin kazais, even if there's no kazais. V'mein bohem te'alechem. But if it doesn't look like bread, then mevarich aleihem bermnei mezonos. Then you make a mazonos. Elim kein hoy ba'perurin kazais, unless the perurin together come to a kazais for chanal inyan bishul, like we said above. Gimel, the third possibility is kasheloi bishul, where you do not cook it. The gamlo in ischabra perurin yachad aladei mashken. You don't combine the pieces of crumbs of bread, small pieces of bread together. Afilim perurin dakin kasodas, even if the crumbs are very fine. Mevorich aleim hamoitzi, you make hamoitzi to shame pas aleihem. So that's the three permutations as a Hakdama. Now we see these three permutations in the writing of the Mechaber. So let's go back to the top. Yud, Chavitza. You've got a Chavitza. Dahainu, says the Mechaber, Perurei Lechem. You've got pieces of bread. Shenidbakim al yidei yachad al yidei marok, that are joined together through soup or some sort of liquid. In this bashel, if you've cooked these items, then im yesh bohem kazayis, if there is a kazayis, afal pish ein bo Torah lechem, even though they haven't got the appearance of bread, mevarech hamoitzi, you make a bracha of hamoitzi or berachas hamazon, you bench. V'im ein bohem kazayis, less than a kazayis, afal pish ein nirish yesh bohem Torah lechem, but even though they have like an appearance of bread, ein mevarech el bermnei mezonos bracha achas me ein shalish. Then you make mezonos and nala michya. Let's do the Mishnah Berurah till there. Most of the Mishnah Berurah is on these points. Dahainu, Pasiv Kotan Nun. Dahainu Pururi Lechem Shein Bakim. You've taken bread, you've crumbled it, and this spashal, and you've cooked it. Ein nafkamina beinit bakim. It doesn't make a difference if it's stuck together or not. V'nokat zeh mishum ofen hasheni demar b'li bishul. Because we say that because we're talking in the next case where it was not cooked. Nun Aleph, Yachad, V'uadinim hoyu rak shirurim b'soichei harbe. There are little pieces of bread, achenis laben hamayim, that has been cooked so much that the water has become sort of white. Al yedei zeh, dinay nidbakin, kamon nidbakin yachad uchad b'sif yud Aleph. Okay, Nun Beis, imnis bashal hainu, shenos na'alechem b'chlirishin. You put the bread in a klirishin, she'amad al eish, in a pot which is on the fire. Ayal kol ponim she'yatzeled by, or at least in water or liquid that was very hot. It's yatzeled by more than 43 degrees according to Ramesha. But you put it in a kli sheni, that's not really considered bishul v'dina k'moi ba'ifin sheni, and therefore it's like the second category which we're going to come to. That if it has the appearance of bread, mevorech hamoitzi, you make a bracha of hamoitzi afa pachas mikazais. Like we said at the beginning in Siftes, that bread, even less than a kazais, you make hamoitzi. For dafkim lo nislaben amayim al alechem, and dafka if the water had not become white. But if the water has become white, like when you soak bread there for a long time, then it's lost its appearance of bread. And if you put the bread in liquid, you pour iru klirishin, that's a suffix. If there's not a kazais in the crumbs, and it has the appearance of bread, I'll pass acher tchila. Make a bracha on bread, and then that will definitely cover it. Nun gimel im yesh bohem lav dafka bekulam ela afilu im yesh kazais bechad prus. Even if there's a kazais in one piece, gam kein mevarach ola amoitzi uberchas hamazon umimela yochel lechol hasharak haktanas gam kein. That will allow you to eat the other small pieces. Kazais rotzolema ba prusa atza shemevarach ola bo kazais mikodim v'nivchas mishir al zeh bishul v'lo mitzarfin and loy mashin is bakim achavrusel. We don't combine the bits that are joined up with the other bits, or that was swollen because of the liquid. Afal etc. Then it's battle memena shem lechem. Now you've got a kazais, you haven't lost the shem lechem. Shenira, this is going on nunvov. Shenira sheyesh b'toa lechem. Then you make a bermin mezonis. If it's less than, you make a bermin mezonis. Tzekimish nispashal in a chosh of toa lechem, because it's cooked. You can't really call it lechem, and therefore it's got a din of mezonis. If you fry it, mashim mogen avram sif cotton lamadvov. The loy have a kabishal. That's not got a din of bishul. Mahani bot toa lechem k'may lekame ba'ifin hasheni. Ulfidas shari achreinim sham ein hechrich ledvar v'anochen shebetikun layochel b'sheyesh b'toa lechem ki im. Therefore have it in the middle of a meal when you've already washed, and therefore you're covered. That's only if there's no kazais. If you fry pieces which together they have a kazais, I'll tell you where this is nagea. Very interestingly. Actually, let's just do one more. Nun zayin ein mevarich da bechol hani sheniska b'siv zeh b'siv machrov afilu kava sudos alem v'ochal kadesh tzvia. Even if you eat a kavia sud of these things, mevarich b'menim zonis v'achrov mein sholosh mishum delav b'chlal lechem klal rak b'menei kader ba'alma. So the moshe, you have pasta and things like that. You can have lots and lots of it. Even if you have a kviya suda, it's not shach because it's lost its status of bread, and it will always be mezonis and alamichia. I'll tell you where this is nagea. This is nagea with Matza Brei. Yeah, Pesach, you have Matza Brei. You take basically Matza, which is hamoitzi and brichas hamazon. You crumble it and you cook it. What bracha do you make on it? So if you look in 47, it's machloikas. He quotes the Chazon Ish. He says, "Lin perim Matza hamatuganim medokim yachad muchanim Matza Brei kosav Chazon Ish sheyesh levarich alem hamoitzi brichas hamazon." It hasn't lost its status. However, he says, however, the Marsham writes, and therefore, probably the best eitzah is, you make hamoitz and a bit of matzah, and then you have your matzah brei, and you make brichas hamazon, and then you're definitely covered. Okay, now let's go back to the Mechaba. I'm about 3 lines down towards the end of the line. If it's not cooked, and you just stick together the crumbs of bread with honey or with soup, if these pieces have got together a kazais, then mevarich olav hamoitzi afilu ein lo toa lechem. V'im ein boim kazais, im yesh boim toa lechem, tahainu shel nikav yodua shu lechem, mevarich olav hamoitzi u'brichas hamazon. V'im ein boim toa lechem, if it doesn't look like bread, mevarich boim mezonos u'brichas achas me'ein sholish. Okay, v'im ein lo mevushel lo mechubel mefura dak. If it's neither, it's not cooked and it's not joined together, but you've just got crumbs. You do, however, make hamoitzi and brichas hamazon for that. Okay, let's just finish the Mishnah Berurah. Nun ches im yesh v'prusas hainu afilu ba'achas mehen, even in one of them im yesh bohem hatam the odif bezeh ba'ifin rishon. This is better than the case number 1. The kimel shalon is bashal because it wasn't cooked. Because it wasn't cooked, it's got a status of bread still. And that which we said you've got to make a brichas hamazon. That's only if you ate more than a kazais. In pira halechem, if you break the bread, you crumble it. That it goes down to flour. You mamish crumble it. And then you reconstitute it by adding oil and things like that. Right? I'm Morgan Avram Ashikosov Bezeh. Vaskomas Harba Achronim to imbishlam Bekadeiro Tigna Bemachvas Bemashke de Choshev Kabishal. If you cook these things, Afie Sheish Bechol Achs Kazais Vyosim Varchalem Bermene Mazonis, and that's the mice what we do. We make a Mazonis on Knedlach and all these things. Vafilu Ochel Harbe, Vachenu Minagoilam, Vim often Nochen Shlayochem Kimu Betechasuda, and im Kainilish Berev Shuman Dvash, Osm Varchalem Bermene Mazonis, Uchadel Besiv Zain Bahagov in Bigman, the Maim, Levad, the often Yeshalem din Paskom. And the mice of the minig is to make Mazonis on Knedlach. Just finishing off, because it was very thin. Kaselis ve'minkol of to'alechem vatam the kimin shu pas b'fnei atzmei ve'ena mechuba eina yotze elom mitaras lechem. V'ayim b'achreinim she'eskim dafilu shora purim b'mayim. Even if you soak the crumbs in water, kimin shlein nischabru yachad en yotze mitaras pas. It doesn't lose its status of pas. But davkim shora zman mut, only a small time in shahu purim b'soicha mashin is nabnu hamayim al yedezeh mevu b'siv she'achrav the mevarach alav bermene mezonah mevarach me'ein shalish. Just by the way, look at 54. Very interestingly, it's a good eitzah. In a situation like that, an old person, a sick person, Matza on Seder night, he can't eat the matzah, it's too hard. A very good eitzah, the Dayan used to give this eitzah. You can crumble the matzah, even though it becomes like flour. So you crumble it and you can soak it and cook it, and then it still has the status of matzah. And for a choyle, for a zokin, that could be an eitzah come Seder night.